Hello and welcome to Return to Eberron Cult of the Godseed. My name is Matt Nahat and this is my channel, Zephyr's Gambit. Today we are back in Eberron with my friends here. We've got some new players. We've got some new stuff going on. What I'll quickly do is get everyone to just introduce themselves. First name basis is fine, and just a little bit about your character. Character's name, sort of little snapshot of their background, and then we'll sort of head into game. We apologize because we weren't able to get a video feed going, but you have pictures of our characters and our stats, so hopefully that's enough to keep you entertained, and hopefully our shenanigans will be enough to keep you entertained. So I'm gonna basically go to each person and we'll learn a little bit about them. So first of all, Mary playing Lana May.
Hey, I'm Mary. I'm playing Lana May. Woo.
Tell us a little bit about Lana.
Sure thing. Alright, so Lana is a rogue, but she's on the acrobat archetype, and so she's very nimble, to say the least. And where she last left off or when she first was in Eberron, she was certainly learning more about herself, just trying to get by and running into a bunch of heroes and trying to conquer the world, only to fail at it hard, or at least not be very well at it. But since all that craziness, she's been able to kind of settle down, have a family, and now things are starting to get weird again. So she's going into this game with a focus on trying to make sure her family's safe and protected. And so,
Right.
yeah, during the gap, she has created a troupe and just kind of does flow arts performances, and so she's kind of known around some parts of Sharn for her talent in that.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Next will be Stephen playing Gordon Don Treeman.
That's his name. He is a half-orc druid. He hails from the marshlands of Eberron. Actually, I don't remember if that's the correct name for him. Anyway, there he was a twin, one of a pair. The tradition of the tribe was that one of the twins was selected to be the chieftain, and the other one, Dawn in this case, is sent to exile, and that the two are forever linked, the experiences of the one feeding the strength of the other. And so Dawn wanders the land looking for new things to experience and adventures to dare to support his tribe and twin brother.
Awesome. That's a very interesting concept. I love the twin thing. Very good. Next will be Corey playing Silas Phoenix. And Corey is muted. Yay.
Oh no, he died!
Yes, I already died. Oh no.
Welcome to game one.
Reroll. Anyways,
Not again.
So, yeah, my name is Corey. I'm playing a character named Silas Phoenix. Silas is a changed man.
Yes, he is.
He's a very changed man, and we're gonna see what becomes of that.
Yes, it should be very interesting. All right, and we have Chris playing Felice Coffee Johns. Is that?
Yes. Jones? Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Felice is a Koravar, multi-generation Koravar, and she is a student of archaeology at Moorgrave University, working on her master's.
Wow. On the masters.
Koravar?
Koravar, half elf, who is multi-generational half elf. So both parents are half elves, and that makes her Koravar.
Very nice. Done some research there, I see. I like it.
The classic quarter elf.
Indeed. And finally, we have Bastian.
Alright, Bastion is a Warforged cleric.
Yep.
He's been in the Cogs division, a special type of Warforged that are made out of more of a clockwork and gears, sort of internal organs and such.
Right.
He has battle experience, but he lives with regret. He believes that at one point he committed a heinous, cowardly deed, and that he's been brought back to life to find redemption before he's sent back to the Nine Hells.
Wow. Well, we've got a couple of characters who have had a bit of a change of thing. You're fairly sure that you've done something in your past and trying to regain your honor back, while our friend Silas over there has sort of had a little bit of shadow in his life, but has turned a page and decided on a life of purity. Very interesting. So I will summarize a little bit about what has happened between Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, and what the world state is. So, real quick, our characters were last in Trollenport when we sort of saw them on camera last, and they were dealing with an outbreak of what was called a plague, but was affecting the citizens very differently to a plague that we see in real life. What it was kind of doing is paralyzing people very slowly until they were completely solid, I guess. People would just freeze in place as they were walking, and this caused a lockdown of Trollenport in Zalago, and pretty much anyone that showed any symptoms of any disease or sickness or coughing or sneezing or anything that seemed to be, unhealthy, they were kind of closed away and segregated from everyone else. And our characters eventually found a cure for this by this happenstance, really. We stumbled across a tribe of UNT who happened to have this plant that they called the God Seed, and in return for allowing the Yuan-Ti to go about the rituals that they were doing and to continue to live, we bargained with them, and they gave us one of these plants that we took back to Trollenport, and we managed to mix it with a whole bunch of other reagents to form a cure. And basically from that, it took about another 2 years after that time for the authorities of Trollenport to fully, spread this cure and make more of it and make sure everyone was well. And it's now another 3 years after that again. We are in 1003 YK, and the state of affairs is that throughout Shan and nearby regions on the coast in the south, people have begun to have really crazy bad nightmares. They wake up in cold sweats. They don't remember exactly what they saw, but they just remember it was really vivid and extremely scary. And this effect is being multiplied with children. Children are having even worse experiences in their sleep. Their parents are reporting that their children are speaking in strange tongues while they're sleeping, and just saying strange things, and even speaking in different voices than their children normally have. And this has caused widespread panic. In addition, The mages and scholars of Mulgrave University have sort of been doing some research on that because it's just been getting worse and worse and worse, and they've found that they believe that this is coming from Xen'drik, which is a sort of island continent off to the south. And the reason why they say that is the further that you get away from Shan into the northern reaches or any direction you sort of go, that this phenomena sort of gets less and less and less. So the sort of the central point seems to be off coast and coming to Shan, and that's why Shan's being affected. Once that was discovered, some more research was done, and it was found that indeed there is this sort of magical aura that seems to be sweeping across the sea. And then, more so we started to send more airships across the sea to see what was going on. But unfortunately, all of those airships crashed. And so they stopped sending them. And what's more, the normal seaborne ships that are traveling to and from Shan to Xen'drik are having to chart new courses every time they leave because new land masses are rising from the depths of the ocean and creating islands and creating reefs, coral reefs, and other dangers that they have to navigate now. And it's like every time they leave, they have to change their course slightly to sort of factor that in. And so that's the sort of situation that we're in as we let our characters explore this world. The idea of this campaign is that we are heading to Xen'drik to investigate this, and so this first session will be doing a little bit of running around Shan, maybe talking to some Xen'drik experts, and figuring out how we might get from here to there. And the most likely way, and probably the only way considering the state of affairs, is by sea. And so we have to obviously find a captain willing to take us, and we're aware our characters are pretty familiar with things that we're going to probably have to pay for that. But I'm going to let our characters take the reins now as we go ahead. Each of these characters have special features that will help them and help our group as we go forward. And not all of our groupers necessarily have all met each other, but all of us have contacts with at least one person in the group. So for those that are new, especially to my stream, that would be Bastien and Felice. Just describe real quick who you know in the party and how you know them. Just take a minute or two to describe that. So first, Felice, who do you know in the party, and why have you decided to join them?
So I have a minor acquaintance with Lana May. Miss May brings her children to the museum where I work, partially for research for my thesis and partly just for money as a docent, and I have interacted with her children. And I have my own interest in going to Xen'drik regarding my thesis, so I jumped at the opportunity to at the invitation to join in with this excursion.
Very good. All right, and Bastien, just tell us in a minute or two how Bastien sort of met with whoever it was in the party and why you've decided to sort of join them in this venture.
All right. Well, Bastien also met Lana May. They were at a party together that was rudely interrupted by a giant guardian that was reanimated to essentially destroy the mansion and kill the guests. Working together with Loname and Stephen, if you could remind me of your character's name?
Dawn.
Dawn. Working together with Loname and Dawn, they managed to slow the construct enough to evacuate the partygoers and find a way to disable it. They later went on and questioned a Radiant Idol about uh, sending that construct and what its minions did to the city, and later retreated back to their houses. So, Bastion has had a small adventure with both Dawn and Lana and has respect for both of them.
Awesome. Thanks for that. All right, so that brings us to today. You wake up. You've got this idea that Xen'drik is the source of all of these problems, and indeed, as something that you've been experiencing in the last little bit is that everything that seems to have gone wrong in the city and around the city seems to be blamed on Xen'drik, and so it becomes a center of focus, I guess. And you all have sort of links there, and you've all been doing a little bit of research into that. But that brings us to today, and brings us to bringing your characters together. So let's do that. Let's bring our characters together. And what do we have any ideas about where we might start as far as what we're going to do?
I'm raising my hand. See it.
Sorry?
I'm raising my hand, but you can't see it. So just kind of thinking about all of us getting together. My thought is I can easily see that like Dawn and Bastion are at Lana's house for lunch or something. Their conversation kind of goes back towards what's happening, especially with Lana and her daughter having these nightmares, and probably a recent one just kind of like telling, it's like, yeah, I wrote down this and such, and it just doesn't make any sense. Does that sound familiar to you? Then at some point with that, with Xen'drik coming up, remembering Felice and for Lana, who's going to have to just like maybe pick her brain, and then if all four of them together are discussing this, and it's like the idea of like, well, we need to like have the funds for a boat. Do we know anyone? It's like, well, maybe we could get in touch with Silence.
I mean, you all have a bit of money, but yeah, and Silas has received word from Adela that his children are indeed having an occasional bad nightmare, even as far north as they are. It's definitely not as frequent as in Shan itself, the children there, but they have had maybe one or two of these terrible nightmares and have exhibited talking in a strange language as well. So perhaps that's what brings him to Lana's place, maybe to check on what's going on or whatever. What do you think, Silas? Where would you go first, and sort of what is your primary motivation here?
I don't think at all that he'd be on the radar with Lana yet.
Right.
He wasn't there for any of that shenanigans at the party and so on and so forth. He actually just arrived in Shan.
Okay.
He does know of all of the issues that are going around. When he left, his children weren't having the headaches and nightmares that have been talked about.
Indeed.
But now that he has gotten there, he has gotten word that they are.
Yeah.
Now he has even more motivation, more than just being who he is now.
And you know that Smallgrave University have been sort of the forefront of the investigation into this phenomena.
Right, and that's certainly something that he would take into account, and would probably actually head there and do any research that he could on the Xen'drik.
Right, and that will pretty much bring all of us into... it's still a large place, but you can all sort of be there in the sense that Felice will already be there as part of her research, and Lana and the rest are sort of heading there to catch up with Felice, and Silas has gone there to see what's going on as well, and so... by happenstance and everyone sort of being there, let's get together with Felice then in Mulgrave University and see what she's dredged up and what's next, who to talk to next. So Felice, you've obviously been hitting the books a little bit in Mulgrave University. And just recently, even just this morning, you learnt about a character, a person in Mulgrave University that you weren't formally aware of, but this person is named Flame Wind, and I'm going to share her sheet with us. I'm going to put that there. So in your journals now, there should be under contacts, Flamewind. Flamewind has the body of a giant lion, but orange stripes mark her deep black fur. When she moves, these stripes ripple like flames. Her great falcon wings are pure black, usually folded over her back. She has the head and face of a beautiful elf woman, though her features are distinctly feline and her hair is the same deep black and orange as her coat. She wears a few jeweled chains of platinum and gold around her neck and forelimbs, and a silver diadem rests upon her brow. And the reason why you're going to visit Flamewind is apparently... one of the largest, most recent expeditions to Xen'drik actually brought her back to Mulgrave University, and she's just been granted residence here.
Sweet. Okay. Nice. Sorry, I'm just reading what you have here.
Absolutely,
cool.
Yeah.
So, oh, so we hang out in a lot of the same spots, too. All right. So, and she's, taking up residence here. She's not intending to go back?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So yeah, so I will go seek her out to maybe talk to her about looks like she may know something about the nightmares and things.
Indeed.
Too, from her. Yeah.
Yep, and as you're traversing the hallways, it just so happens that Lana catches your eye, and with her are a couple of other folk. Perhaps you haven't met them. I'm guessing probably not. And that would be Don and Bastian. So Bastian, as he's described for himself, is a large sort of clockwork-powered warforged, and Don is a druid of some repute. Perhaps you've heard of him, but maybe not met him. And so these folk are sort of also traversing the corridors of Mulgrave University and seem to, certainly Lana would recognize you, and they seem to be looking for someone. So let's put you into that corridor and have that meeting.
Sweet. Yeah, so when I see Lana May, I kind of light up and I kind of wave and, Miss May! Hey, Miss May, what are you doing here? What brings you to the university?
Actually, came to find you. Um, blip, blip, blip. I have a few new things to share with you. I'm curious if maybe found anything else out. Um, with all the nightmare stuff going on.
Well, interestingly enough, I just found out that there's somebody here that might be able to help us, might be able to give us some more information. I was just on my way to find her. She may have an interesting perspective and be able to tell us a thing or two. Want to come with me? Do you guys?
Yes. Let's talk about serendipitous, I suppose. Yeah. Lead the way, I suppose.
Right.
She'll point to the two. She's like, by the way, Don, meet police. Police meet Don. Police meet Bastion. Bastion meet police.
A pleasure.
Nice to meet you all.
Ale.
Hail.
All right.
No, really, hail's in the weather forecast.
Oh, we have hail on the radar, indeed. And speaking of hail, actually, I'll bring this up now because I didn't mention it earlier. There has been very strange storms for this time of year, especially coming from the sea and on the sea. And these storms are definitely unseasonal. It is right at the start of spring here. We are in Xen'drik, which is sort of the first month of spring, very, very early spring, and it's very, very unusual to have storms sort of hit at that time. Definitely, probably hail would be, likely at this time. So you're probably right there, Don. So that's definitely cool.
I'm always right.
Absolutely, yes. You are the druid that knows these things, after all. And you guys can make your way to meet with Flamewind. Yep, indeed.
I feel like along the way, just because there's a little bit of that familiarity with police, that Lana would even take the time, just assuming it's kind of like a sort of quiet corridor anyways, which he'd pull out the letter, be like, so, read this and tell me how old you think the person is, and I'm sure she'd recognize the name of Aelmir. So.
Right. Yeah, so Lana may hand you a letter, Felice, and you look at the script and you start to read the contents of it, and this is a letter apparently written by Aelmir, but the contents of it is very it's very mature for a young woman of her age. And certainly it seems like it would have been more written like by a teenager, probably 13, 14 years old, rather than what Aelmir is.
A 5-year-old. Yeah, Aelmir's 5 right now.
Right.
So.
And
she's not even in school either.
Yeah, so you're guessing probably 12 or 13. The contents of this letter are very mature, and they're talking about other students in a school you've never heard of, Felice. You don't recognize the name of that school. You don't recognize the name of the headmaster that she refers to. It's all very foreign to you, and certainly this is not the script nor language of a 5-year-old.
Aelmir wrote this, Miss May?
I found it among her stuff, and please, Lana.
Oh, thank you. You didn't actually see her write it, but it was in her things, you're saying?
No, yeah, it was just tucked away by on desk and her little craft table, and just was, I just thought it was a straight piece of paper until I read it, and just,
Does this school or the headmaster mentioned that doesn't ring a bell with me? Does it mean anything to you at all?
I didn't go to school, so nope.
Nope.
It's very, very odd.
Yeah, you pretty much know every major institution across Corvair, at least, which is the main continent here in Eberron. You haven't been to them all, for sure, but you probably know the names of them, and this one, totally unfamiliar to you. Doesn't even ring the slightest of bells. And the name of the city, too, isn't even... You're like, I don't know what that is.
I don't know the city either. This is
Don will give a so much for the learning of men and cities.
Yeah.
How are the nightmares going? Are they lessening? Are they what's
I feel like she speaks more in them now versus just waking up in a panic. She just, and it's just so. I really hope I can fix them. This needs to get fixed. It really does. It's just.
Lana, does she sound like herself when she's speaking? Or does she sound older there too?
Older or like she's probably more the latter. Yeah, it's just, and I guess it's good that the twins don't have this going on, or at least not as bad as her. But she's not sleeping well these days, and it's getting worse, and it's scaring me. And with and she's like trying not to ramble on because it's been a big worry for her, and she wants to just vent, but at the same time, it's like keep focused, keep level-headed. So.
Sure. I know this has been so hard. Must have been so hard for you, Lana. You just keep hanging in there, though. We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
I like your optimism.
Yeah. Okay, and so you come to the door of Flamewind. Silas is in a different part of the compound, and he is. You've sort of come to Morgrave University. You don't really know anything about Flamewind, but you have heard about a visiting ambassador named Ambassador Jorisesh. And you have heard about this older gentleman, very handsome, who seems to have caught the eye of a lot of people in Morgrave University as someone who is very learned and someone who is very charismatic. And I'll share his character sheet with us now, and that is who you're seeking out. You have heard that he is a philosopher and a historian, and that he spends a lot of his time talking about the exploration of Xen'drik. Seems to be sort of forefront in some thinking around that. As well as other things, and so you're sort of on his trail, and I'll jump over to you for a minute, and then we'll skip back over to the others as they meet Flamewind. But just as your first sort of like intro to meeting Jorisesh, he is actually in a sort of, it's not a lecture, it's more like I guess a presentation, you would call it. There's a number of students. He's at the front. He's sort of talking about various things, including the dreams that have been happening, and he seems to have some theories. There's some students in here asking questions, and he's smiling and acknowledging each one by name, each of the people that talk. He seems to know who's talking, and he seems very friendly. And just as you sort of walk in and sort of see this, the talk sort of finishes. A couple of the students and other researchers here sort of pat him on the back, and they don't exactly applaud because it was, sort of more of a discussion. But it seems like he has a good deal of rapport with these other learned scholars.
Right, right. And, he just kind of stand in the doorway for a moment, watching the scene. And after the students have exited the room and he's alone, he would just call out from the door. He goes, "Ambassador Jorosesh."
Oh, hello. I'm not sure I've met you before. Come forward, young man.
Can be almost certain that you haven't. My name is Silas Phoenix, and he does enter the room. And being the first visual of Silas, in some time, first thing you notice is that he's not wearing the leather armor that you've ever seen him in before.
Mm-hmm.
He's not blonde, fair-haired like he was before. His hair is stark white.
Right.
Almost as if he was an old person.
Mm-hmm.
He's wearing the armor of a entity that he's become. It's full plate armor. Well, no, it's not full plate. It appears to be full plate armor, but it's not. It's not. There's not as much coverage on the lower half of his body, but he does have on metal greaves that cover his legs. He does have a large shield that's on his back. He's well armored. And he looks different. He looks... The anger is not in him any longer. It's not in his eyes. Not ever present as it was over him for so many years before.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks into the room and he goes, "Yes, Silas Phoenix." I don't remember the name of the town in which he's living in, because he's not from Sharn.
Right. And the man, Jorosesh, he pauses just for an instant and he goes, "The Silas Phoenix?"
If you're speaking of the Silas Phoenix that I've taken up the mantle of the White Phoenix, then yes, I am he.
He says, "Oh, I don't know anything about that. But if you're the Silas Phoenix that helped free Trollenport of the plague a few years ago, it's a pleasure to meet you indeed."
Yes, I am also he as well. It's actually a very interesting time of my life. And, yes.
Oh, perhaps we can talk about that another time. Well, for now, what has brought you to Sharn?
Xen'drik.
Xen'drik. Oh, it's a marvel of a place, but from everything that I've seen and everything that I've heard, it just seems like so much wrong is coming from there, or is happening there.
I think it has something to do with what's happening here.
He says, well, I think that everything that's happening here has something to do with what's happening there, rather than the other way around.
I like the way you phrase things. So, you're a very learned man, I can tell.
Oh, Too much. You're making me blush, sir.
Have you heard of these nightmares that seem to be affecting the younger generation of
I
women?
have heard. Unfortunately, I haven't done a lot of research into that. It's not really my field of expertise. Um, you know, but I have. I was amongst those who found the. What would you call it? It's I suppose it's like an aura or I don't have a word for it, he says, but it's like it's like magic that just spreads from one place to another. I was amongst the team that sort of traced it back to Xen'drik, and I believe that Xen'drik will have the answers for us. But a lot still needs to be discovered. We know very little about this or in fact, about Xen'drik at all. While we do have a foothold there in the city of Stormreach, really, we've only just begun to start exploring the massive continent that it is. I'm sure you're aware of this.
Yes. I've just got word this morning that my children had their first nightmares last evening.
Did you mention where you had come from?
Yeah, and I don't remember the name of the town, and that's I'm
No, that's
sorry.
okay. And he says, "Really, that far north? My,
Yeah.
this seems to be spreading faster than I could have dreamed possible. Something needs to be done. Clearly, this is beyond what I even my largest fears. I thought it had been. It was sort of just here in Shan and around, but if it's spread up the river that far and this fast, this
Yes, it seems to be a much larger academic than we thought, Ambassador. Um, I just have one last question. The aura or whatever you're saying you investigated, it felt magical.
right. It one of our researchers, Felice, she identified that it did feel a little bit like Fey magic, but not exactly the same as other Fey magic that she had experienced, and she would know. She's one of the forefront researchers into the magic of Fey, and she's done some extensive research up in the north, in the Eldine Reaches. She's investigated the High Elves and the Wood Elves, and she says that it wasn't really either of them, but it still felt like Fae.
And you were there.
I've spoken with her.
Well, were you there the day that you were investigating?
So he wasn't there when Felice found this out in the room with the children at that time,
Okay.
but certainly he was in the discussion that sort of happened afterwards.
Okay. Okay. This Felice, she's here.
Yes, she'll be somewhere on around the university. I could show you to her room, but I know she was quite busy researching. She has been for some time. She's working on her master's, actually. She has some very interesting theories, that one, and I'm very intrigued to see the results of her work. I would tip that likely you might find her in the library, actually.
Yes. Well, thank you for all the information, Ambassador. It's very informative. If you know anybody that could maybe send her a sending spell or something to alert her of my inquiry, it'd be great.
Absolutely, yeah, we can do that. We've got an internal system here, and he'll make that happen. We'll skip over as he sort of bids his farewell and says, "Look, I really need to share this information that you've told me with the other researchers that it's spread this fast." And he'll hurry up and he'll say, "You'll be able to find me on the campus." Obviously find another lecturer and they'll send me as well. And we'll skip over to the rest of the group who have just opened the door to meet with Flamewind. So over to you guys. Obviously, you're seeing this character for the first time. She is Sphinx-like. I don't know how many of you have seen a creature quite like her before, but she's certainly from Xen'drik and around Xen'drik. How does this?
I feel like Lauren would certainly gawk at first, like in the just like walking in, like, whoa. I mean, police. Who are we meeting with? And just like trying to like recover herself, just like she's definitely in awe, and she just realized that she put a foot in her mouth.
Yeah, you sort of open the door and you're like, whoa! Like you haven't even introduced yourself yet.
And she's like, I don't know how to recover. Quick, turn your attention to someone. Police. Police. Who are we trying to do
with amusement in her eyes, and she kind of places her hand on like your wrist to just like it's cool, and and I approach. I keep forgetting her name.
Flamewind is her name.
And do I know anything about her race or like what her customs might be in terms of greetings and things?
Likely not.
Okay.
Your research has mostly been here on Corvair, and Andra Sphinx really, there's very few of them here. So you probably never met one.
Okay. So I'll just approach respectfully like I would any, professor, anybody above me, just trying to be polite. And I'm a little in awe, but I try to put on my best docent face, and I introduce myself. Well, I talk to her, and I just say, "Are you Flamewind by any chance?"
The creature, she smiles and she sort of gestures with her hands, sort of to take a seat. She's behind a table, like a desk, piled with papers and things, but you can still see her full body, which possibly is why Lana is in such awe, because it's very much lion, and so she gestures with those lion-like claws, and she says, "Ah, yes, you are the one I foresaw would come."
You foresaw me. That's wow. Yeah, I'm Felice Kofi Jones, and I'm a student here. Thank you for meeting with us.
She says,
I know this is unexpected.
Well, it is my pleasure to meet you, Felice. You have a mark of fate on you, and these others do too.
This is Lana May. She's the main reason we're here to talk to you, and these are my new acquaintances, Bastion and Dawn.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet all of you. It seems that two of you have families that have been affected by what's going on. Is that right?
Yeah. I am. Sorry, I'm just like she's still kind of tripping over her words. Just like she's like, this is the most amazing.
I am in awe of you as well, she says. You are a dancer.
Yes, I am. Have you seen the shows then? I presume.
Don will interject kind of half under his breath. I'm pretty sure you would have noticed if she had.
yeah. She says,
well, I just her teeth get more red, and she's just like, I feel like an idiot.
She says, that's an interesting turn of phrase. I've seen them in my visions.
Okay.
Bastion will diplomatically remove his hand from his weapon.
Nice. And as you do, he says, "Oh, and this, you are searching redemption?"
Not really, says Don.
Well, and her eyes are not on Don. She says, "But you have family." To Don now.
Well, he'll get kind of awkward and shy and put his arm behind his head to scratch it. I mean, yeah, you got a couple. You want to adopt a puppy?
Dawn, you can't do that to your children.
Damn.
Nobody told me.
They're really not that bad. You just gotta have a firm hand.
She says,
Anyway.
I'm not really the family type, but thank you.
I could have a firm hand if I want one. Well, the missus probably wouldn't let me sell them anyway.
No, sure, yes. I don't imagine that would be on the agenda, she says.
You're not gonna tell her I said that, are you, Lana? Donald kind of give a shifty-eyed look at the group.
Lana just kind of rolls her eyes because this is like, this is nothing new for her to hear. Like, right. Dawn's always freaking out. And for Lana, she's like, I don't get what the problem is. You just have to have a firm hand. Like, his kids listen to her. And, yeah. And just a random note, too. Lana's here. I guess Fayela's kind of sort of been the designated babysitter, but at the same time, Fayela kind of runs a ward. Who's watching her kids? I'm having a panic attack right now.
It's okay. So what I imagine, if this is all right with you, and we didn't discuss this earlier, apologies. Mm-hmm. What I would imagine is that the kids are likely to have joined Rin in meeting his extended family.
Okay.
If that's all right with you.
I think actually it's working really nicely where, especially with how intense with Aylmir's dreams kind of getting and such, where it's like their family's north, right?
Right, and the further north you go, the less likely it is that she's going to be having those experiences.
Yeah,
so
brilliant. Where it's like, they haven't had a chance to meet your side. Go take them to Dawnport, whatever, blah blah blah. And hopefully hopefully Aylmer will be able to start sleeping and not being so panicked, and let alone when she does fall asleep, having those awful nightmares. And so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So. All right. So you're confident that they're in safe hands.
Yes. I think she's more worried about the twins, but yes. Okay, cool. And then yeah, that would make even more sense why Lana's really in the we're going to crack down and see if we can figure out what the hell
Right,
is
yeah.
going on.
As far as your ties here in Corvair, I want you to be, I want all the characters, in fact, to be as free from your ties here as possible, so that we can facilitate the campaign.
Yeah.
But as you're speaking and as this is all happening, Flame Wind she smiles as all of this is sort of occurring in your mind. She's nodding almost as if she's reading what your thoughts are almost. She's looking at you and she's just nodding along with you as you're going over these things in your mind, and that seems a little creepy perhaps, but she's smiling and she seems friendly enough, and she says, well, welcome to my quarters. How may I help you?
And Lana would look at the priests.
Well,
Take it away.
so just for a quick moment too, like, so Felice has knowledge that she, aside from the fact that she just said she has visions, she's, I assume, aware from the scuttlebutt around the university that she does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know if you've heard much since you've gotten here about some of the children in the area having these horrible nightmares. But I've been assisting with the research on that, and Miss May here has a daughter who has been experiencing that. And I thought you might be able to offer some insight or some guidance for us in regards to that.
She says, I can speak to this situation. And I will, she says. As with all things, there is exchange. I have heard of a part
So
of
you
this...
do want a puppy.
a part of this university that has relics from where I have come from. If you could bring me one of them, just so that I can have it close to me in my quarters, then I will speak what I know.
Oh, well, that's a little beyond my authority here, but I can certainly talk to my superiors and see what we can do about that. It's not an unreasonable request, but a little unusual, as you can imagine.
Can't we just go get it?
Well, there's a
relics
museum, right? So there's a
very-
museum attached to the university, and you believe that she's talking about that.
Relics and things are very, delicate, and they have to be treated very carefully. And of course, most of them are in the care of the museum, and so we can't just help ourselves exactly. But I do work there, so
What it is that I would like is a sundial, a stone sundial with the face of a lion and the sundial as the nose of the lion.
wow, that sounds like a lovely piece. I think I remember seeing that.
You absolutely remember seeing that.
Is it something I had anything to do with? No, because I haven't been there.
No, I mean, you know, the museum is fairly extensive. They actually have quite a large collection of relics from Xen'drik. Even though the place hasn't really been explored, there is a lot in there. So you know, you've probably been through it a couple of times and marveled at this thing or that thing. What you remember of it is it probably didn't catch your eye anywhere close to some of the other things that maybe caught your eye. It was sort of like, oh yeah, that's nice, that's different, but it certainly wasn't amongst the more highly valued or highly recognizable relics. It was kind of, you know, in one of those displays that has many things in them, you know, as if it's not really as valuable. It wasn't like fully on display with, you know,
Sure.
as much as everything else was.
Special case or anything.
Right, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but it is
So
on display, so it's not like in a back room somewhere being cataloged or.
right, yeah. So you think that, you know, it's probably doable to request that it gets moved from there to another room in the university as long as it stays in the university, right?
Excellent. So I think I definitely know the piece you're talking about, and I will definitely talk to someone and see what I can do about that. That might actually be something that can be worked out.
She nods and she says, "It seems someone is summoning you." And right at that moment, there's that little bell sound that you're very familiar with by now. Within the university grounds, when someone wants you, you know, and another lecturer or you know, person of note basically does a sending, and it rings like a little bell. In your mind, you've experienced this a number of times, but the fact that she knew that you would get this sending right before it happened maybe is a little
impressive.
Is a little impressive, yeah. And you get that, and you're like, okay, so someone is after me, and both you and Silas would know, and you've been sort of told that when that happens, there's a meeting area in the university that you would go to sort of make sure that you would meet up with whoever did that sending, and Silas would know to meet you.
Widen a little bit at her comment, and wow, you're good. Would you excuse me? I need to answer this.
She says, "Oh, absolutely. And you, there's no need to call me good. Very few of us in reality are good."
Oh, okay. I didn't mean anything by it. I'm just impressed at your. It's been a pleasure to meet you. I will get back to you about the artifact.
Okay, she says. And look, you're welcome anytime. It's been a pleasure to meet you too, and I've been impressed with you as well, and I look forward to seeing more of you, she says, and smiles in that sort of almost half disconcerting way.
And I smile back and just, I look forward to that. And I politely excuse myself.
All right. For the others, are you staying to maybe question this woman more?
Well, I think our new friend would be disappointed if I just tried to move the relic on my own, so should probably sit on our hands for now.
Right.
I think Lana would join Felice still, at least until she feels less awestruck.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, okay, I'll gather myself.
Alone with you, stupid again.
Right.
Great. It's just this way.
Right.
And I lead the way to the room.
Excellent. And Bastian, did you have any other questions for her before we transition to that, or?
Yes, actually, Bastion will clear his throat. He'll say, I did have some questions for you. They talked about the children and the nightmares, but I am more interested in the machines that are causing the ships to crash and the islands to rise.
She says, I don't see machines, I see storms.
Yes, but what makes the storms?
Druids.
She says,
The
that's
slug dawn.
that's a very good question. She says, there is something about machines. And she pauses and sort of like that look of inflection comes across her and like intense concentration. And she sort of says, does Eldritch machine mean anything to you?
I don't know, does it, DM?
Possibly not. An Eldritch machine is an ancient device of super crazy power. And they only really existed on Xen'drik. And she sort of says, it's not a machine in the sense of cogs and wheels and levers, but more. I cannot see, she says, but it is not a machine as far as technology goes.
I thought as much. I figured your abilities were limited. I too can see things. I too know about the requirements of such information. I wish to go out and cast a spell called Legend Lore.
Beautiful.
But in order for the spell to succeed, I need to gather information about these eldritch machines, about these storms, about Xen'drik.
Okay.
It can uncover information that is lost and forgotten to memory, that you cannot find in books. But it requires that first-hand experience, or else it'll fail.
Oh, I think you'll get some of that when we boat into one of the storms soon enough here.
Right.
That's one of the reasons I'm willing to go with you, Dawn.
It's gonna be a fun time.
Oh yeah.
Slap Bastion on the back, and then kind of shake his hand because it hurt a little bit.
It's kind of like a hollow thud.
So I'll give you this much, Bastian, because you are a Warforged. You know that the creation forges that produced the Warforged are in fact Eldritch machines. They're not the only ones, but they're an example of them.
I can make children.
You know that the creation...
Take it from me, buddy. Take it from me, buddy. It's not all it's cut out to be.
Right, yeah. You know that the creation forges have been outlawed for number of generations because... So when the Warforged were legalized as full citizens and recognized for their souls and their choice and everything else, the creation forges were illegalized in that same motion.
Which makes sense. Do you have a way to communicate between you and I? If you are here in this university, there are many things you can learn, but many things that are beyond your reach due to it not being a first-person
She says,
experience.
She says, well, not constantly, but we do have mages here that can send messages over basically any distance. If you had a mage with you as well, then we can facilitate a discussion, but it's not like a open channel all the time. It's something that you sort of have to stop and do.
Yes, well, thank you for the lesson on the arcane arts. Divine is so much better.
Don coughs.
She nods and says, I see that.
I'll see what I can do to convince a mage to travel with us.
It'll be
But
relatively
I want
easy.
to know from... Yes?
She says, one probably, she says, I foresee that you shall have a mage on your voyage.
Lana would also kind of pipe in, was like, I know of one, but he's a bit north right now.
You're also not there.
Right, yeah, you're out of the room.
Connor just pops back in.
Yeah, just...
Sorry guys, I overheard
Hey!
something.
It's like, I can't decide what I'm doing. No. We'll count you out of the room right now. Is there anything else that you guys want to say while you're still in this room?
Yes.
Cool.
What I was interested in is, where is your vision dark? What can't you see?
The specifics of it, if you will.
she says, she smiles and she says, there is much that I cannot see. It is not... what can I say? It is not a... It's not a all-encompassing art. But, you know, I do what I can. I see what I can. And where it is most dark is the unknown future, she says with a smile.
As it is for us all.
Indeed.
And then finally, I'd like to do an insight check. Has she been covering anything up or lying to us at all?
No. But you can make the check. So you would go to... Yeah. So you got a 19. And with that, you are as sure as you can be that she's been above board and that she's told you the truth. She hasn't told you everything because, you know, she's sort of waiting on that relic for that. But she's on the up and up.
If I stand here asking her questions long enough, she'll eventually crack.
Right, yeah. So will a DM.
So let me get this straight, Bastion. Your plan is to out-question a sphinx.
What could
Yes.
possibly go wrong? So,
So,
yeah.
Bastion will nod and he'll say, yes, you have been well and truthful to me, I can see. That is more than most people would do. You have my respect.
And you have mine, she says.
And my axe.
All right.
I mean,
Well, this is going to be an interesting moment as we switch gears for a sec. And Lana, for you especially, you walk behind your friend Felice, who is leading you into a large sort of open courtyard area. It has these little hedges and sort of marble seats, bench sort of seats that sort of sit around. There's a nice fountain in the middle, and sitting on the lip of that fountain is someone you recognize, but who looks completely different to the last time you saw him. And Felice is walking right up to him as if the person that she was meant to see is him. It's Silas Phoenix wearing plate armor and white hair.
What? Yeah, so as Lana kind of catches the sight, she just kind of like stops and they're like, holy, so is that him? Is that him? Why is he here? Why would he be? No, that can't be him. And she's just like eyeing him and kind of doing the looks to the side and is like, if there's like a different path or some coverage, she would kind of take a different route suddenly, but still like eyeing the person and kind of like, is Felice really going to talk to the person? And just in this like, I don't know how to handle this situation. I should just go up and say hi, but at the same time, like, what?
And for Silas, Lana May has rounded out slightly, I would guess, having had twins. But she's not, I don't think.
She dances plenty stuff, though. But no, I figured she would.
The childbearing hips have definitely come into play.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Got a little mom bod. It's all right.
And yeah, you don't recognize Felice, but this person who apparently you sent a sending to, this woman's walking up to you, and I guess you would see Lana sheepishly trying to figure out whether she should talk to you or not.
Right.
Trying to hide and like what?
Back at her.
What?
She's like trying to look away and like act like I'm not paying
I'm
attention.
not here. What?
To the wall or whatever is like right there. It's just like, oh, this is just not my day.
Yeah. So, and Felice, you probably don't really like. You've got your this mission, I suppose, to seek out this person. That's where your focus is. You miss this entire exchange.
Right. I'm too busy trying to figure out, that blank look you have when you think you're probably supposed to know who somebody is.
Right.
Because they summoned you, but have I, and I'm just like, I don't recognize this person. Who is this? And I'm racking my brain trying to figure out, have I met this man as a function or like who?
Yeah,
who
I mean, you don't recognize him, but I mean, you've had sending happen with many people who you haven't recognized. This isn't the first time, and there certainly isn't anyone else waiting in this area for you. There's people in passing, talking to each other as they move from one area of the university to the other. But this man is definitely waiting.
Okay. So as I close with him, then I just look him directly, confidently in the eye and say, "Hi, I am Felice Kofi Jones. I believe you sent for me. How can I help you?"
I did. Please. My name is Silas Phoenix.
I offer my hand.
And Felice, you would definitely recognize the name Silas Phoenix.
Oh, because yes. Oh,
Charlotte Fort.
Oh! Yeah, I imagine that is exactly her reaction. Oh!
Even Lana's kind of like she really snaps her head back around and goes like, seriously.
Did she say that outwardly?
Yep. Just like she's now like, I heard the name. Seriously.
Are you gonna hide behind that bush the whole time?
Like straightens up and just kind of like casually walks out from behind. Like, I wasn't sure if it was you. Hi.
you know each other?
Walks up. It's like, yeah, we go back. You look great. Your hair's lighter.
And just staring you is this man in full plate, basically. Shining plate with this emblazoned golden, shoulder plate,
A little bit, fixing her hair. What brings you all the way here? Are you and I can't remember her name all of a sudden. Are you two just visiting? Actually, Felice, we catch up later. Felice meets you. Hi. I'm just gonna go back and sit behind the bush.
Okay.
I'm sure I'm giving you a quizzical look at this point as you
yeah.
walk away to hide behind the bush. Like, okay.
We'll catch up later. Yeah. We'll talk more later. Let's focus on what you need to do. Sorry, this was just unexpected and very much a surprise. This is.
And what is Silas's reaction to all this?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I was having reactions that entire time until about 30 seconds ago. I didn't realize my mic wasn't working.
Sorry.
Which is very unfortunate. But he just looks up past. Now, did you hear me say the hiding behind a bush thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So he just looks past Felice and goes, "Yes, I think the catch-up will happen a bit later, but the reason I'm here is probably for the same reason that you're here. I haven't forgotten any of that, Lana. Your children, have they been affected by these nightmares?"
My oldest, yes.
Yeah. Oldest. And a movie just plays right into Silas's head that he at the mention of the old and he kind of snaps back and goes, "Yeah, well, my two, there's a lot going on right now, Alana, and I think this woman might be the key for us to find things."
Felisa, he's just said that you're the key to finding out what's going on with this.
Yeah. Alana kind of takes like, interesting, because she and I have been working together a little bit. I know she's been doing some research and just trying to figure out what the hell's going on with all these nightmares and such. And
So your children are having them too?
Yes, I just got word this morning that they experienced these nightmares last evening.
They're not here.
No,
Wait.
they're in blah, blah, whatever the name of that town is.
Up
Wow.
up
So,
up the Dagger
That is-
River. It's about I think it's about 400 miles up Dagger River.
Here, I'll look at
Doesn't-
it. Here, I'll find
That's a awful long way from here. That's not that's new.
Lana face rather too, just as she thinks about it, and just like, if it's gone that far, gosh. She's just kind of trails off there because her thoughts right now are with Bryn and like, gotta send word, or who knows how crazy it's getting out there.
Yeah, so
Well,
I was speaking with the ambassador, and he was telling me that you have had some contact with the Xen'drik and some of this phenomenon that may have to do with that.
well, I've been studying it quite a bit, and you know, I'm convinced that Xen'drik is where we need to go to get to the root of this. But we have someone here. We just left because of your summons to try to get some information from, and so you might as well. Maybe you should just join us, or where can we find you?
Join you.
I need to go around something up for her. I need to see if I can arrange for something, but it might be worth your time to be present when we speak with her again. Her name's Flamewind, and she's very. She has visions, and she's from Xen'drik, so I think she might help point us in the right direction, and I just can't help but think it might be worthwhile for you to speak with her as well.
Yeah, and you're able to sort of tell Silas sort of how he might get to her quarters, being that you need to just pick that relic up on the way.
I could accompany you.
I'm sorry?
I could come with you.
If you'd
I'm
like, you're
I
more
have
than welcome to. I
I have
think
no tie to anything at this point.
all right. Well, I just need to swing by the museum and talk to the department head there and see if I can get this arranged.
And lead on.
And actually, Matt, I think the person I would want to maybe talk to first is the person who brought me in on helping the kids, because I assume that's somebody higher up
Right.
in the university than I am.
Yeah, and like we don't even need to do a scene with them in the sense that you can just go to them and they're like, oh, that old thing, yeah, sure, as long as it stays in the university and we kind of know where it is, that's fine. We know it's going to be in that room, so not a problem. And he'll even stamp you a seal or whatever you think you'll need to make sure that you can extract that from the museum without.
Fabulous. So I'd lead everybody off to the museum, and I'd kind of look at Lana like, "Are you okay?" With
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Oh, we'll catch up later.
All right. Well, as I said earlier, the museum is quite the sight. There are relics of giants. There are relics of drow. There are relics of other ancient civilizations. There's tablets and books and all sorts of things that are on display here. Statues, you name it. You would remember kind of which direction it was to get to that little display with the lion, and obviously there's the curator of the museum and various guides and things like that you can talk to, and they will unlock the glass case and let you take the sundial out. You can see that it's stone, quite old, but it's solid. It's not flaking or anything like that, and you can hold it without fear of it disintegrating, as long as you don't drop it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to
Right,
do.
right, yeah. We're not going to impose that on you. That would be wrong of
As you
me.
go up the stairs and make a balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Right. You make it back to Flamewind's quarters. Now everyone's sort of in tow, and I guess this might be interesting. I don't know what Don's reaction would be. You guys are still maybe asking questions and getting answers from this Xen'drik or Gynosphinx, and in walks Felice, followed by Lana, who's kind of looking a little bit distracted and a bit red-cheeked, and behind her is Silas.
Don will kind of sidestep carefully over the Lana and say, with the back of his hand up, kind of a private thing to her, "Lana, I don't mean to concern you, but you seem to be haunted by the ghost of Silas."
Right, and that has to be the point where we take a break.
Right.
That's so bad, but like that's too perfect.
Sure. Well, we can have a couple of minutes here if everyone's in agreement.
Yeah.
I was gonna take a couple.
Funny bleak time. Woo!
All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be right back, guys. Anyone that's watching, and it'll be about but between 3 and 5 minutes ish. Get your drink, all that sort of stuff, and we'll continue on. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
And welcome back. My name is Matt in a Hat, and I am GMing my group of friends here for Return to Eberron, Cult of the God Seed, the third chapter of our Eberron adventures. And we have some excellent players here. Unfortunately, as I said at the start of the cast, we aren't able to have our videos on just because of some technical difficulties. But we hope that you are enjoying our play. This is the first time that we've been back together as a group for quite some time, and we've got some new players with us. And it's definitely interesting to see everyone playing their characters, and we're getting some good information happening. And we're resuming our little adventure in the quarters of Flamewind, a Gyna Sphinx who has requested that we bring her a relic from Xen'drik that we obtained from the museum. And Don is seeing Silas for the first time, and has just as on the side, as an aside, Talana mentioned that she's carrying the ghost of him with her as she's going, and so we're resuming the action there. Go ahead, guys.
Now, did you say that loud enough for Silas to hear that? Their
Yeah, sure. It's loud enough that the group or anyone in the room can hear it, but it's obvious that it's intended for Lana only.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lana's initial response would just be like, huh? Oh. No, that's not his ghost.
No.
The ghost of his brother? I mean,
I'm reeling.
well, Silas is dead, so it's obviously not him.
Silas is dead.
Lana just like slaps her forehead. It's like, no, he almost died. He. Anyways,
I can hear you from over here.
Yeah, and that.
I didn't die. It's much different. You were there.
Yes, I was there when you fell off the massive cliff to your crushing death.
And then you were in Trollenport afterwards. And it's been quite a while, Truman.
Truman.
Well, welcome back to the land of the living.
I've been alive the entire time, Don.
That's the spirit, and he'll slap Silas back real hard.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God, it's so good.
Oh, we're not going to get anywhere tonight, are we?
Nope. We're going.
Steven broke the game.
Oh yeah, it was
We'll
totally
want
him.
this group, if nothing else.
All right.
Oh, shit. So, yeah, so I was just looking at him and go, yeah, something like that. We'll do a nice catch up here in a minute. Phyllis, is this the woman you were speaking to?
And Chris is
Yes. Flamewind, might I introduce Silas? I already your last name, sorry.
Flamewind blinks in your direction, Silas, and says, you've taken the oath?
Yes, I have.
Well, you're the first one that I've met. It's a great honor, she says.
You're the first of your kind that I've met. I would say the same. Yes,
It's rude to stare.
and he looks over his shoulder as he used to at Treeman. Some habits are hard to get go away. But he just kind of looks back at her, and yes, he does have very much an affinity for a very, very attractive person, and you know, the human side of her is very attractive. So he just looks at her and goes, "Yes, taking up the oath of the White Phoenix has been a very interesting turn in my life."
No doubt. I would say that has been the case for those that have gone before, she says and nods.
Yes, it's been very interesting. And do you have some insight on what is all going on with it? I believe the police retrieved something.
I believe I do, and I see that you've bought my sundial. She looks at Felice.
I didn't figure there was any point in telling you. Here you are.
She says, "You're probably right," and smiles. There's not much that goes on within these walls that I don't know.
I'll keep that in mind.
I mean, she doesn't... I'll put it out there, she doesn't spy on people or whatever, but, yeah. So, will you hand the sundial to her?
I'm sorry?
Will you hand the sundial to her?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
I'd probably have handed it over as I was saying.
Right.
I didn't see any point in saying anything to you.
Cool. All right. She says, "Okay, very well. Thank you."
It's in lovely condition.
She says, "Indeed." And she says, "Now, we did have a bargain, and so I will keep up my end." And so she's going to say a few things, and I'm going to paste them into the chat here so that we're not... and actually, I'll make a handout. Actually, we'll do it that way, and we'll say Flame wins... prophecies. Yeah. And we're going to say all players, and we're going to post them in there, and we're going to save those changes. And I'm just going to move it to the handouts here. And so you now should have the What Our Characters Know handout, and you should have Flame Wins Prophecies handout. And I'll just read them out here. She says these following things. A pathway generations closed has started to open again. An ancient civilization is rising from the depths of obscurity. A phylactery has recently been rehidden. Dragon prophecy speaks about gods walking the mortal realm. Somewhere in Xen'drik, a Fey-blood descendant has been marked. The history of giant-born magic will be unearthed. And the way to Xen'drik is fraught with perils that you will overcome. In addition to those prophecies, she will answer some of your questions to the best of her ability. We had some questions. What were they?
A phylactery, as in the undead? Don will say with an alarm.
Yes, I see a phylactery. As in undead, yes.
Do your visions show you where it's been hidden?
she says, she looks like with that sort of in internalizing, concentrating look again, and she says, somewhere in Xen'drik.
Lana would also kind of pipe up in the, what's a phylactery?
She doesn't answer that question, I don't think. She says, there are those who remain on in the mortal realm long after they're dead, and how they do that is via a phylactery. I do not see the size nor shape of this one, or whose it might be, but what I can tell you is, and she sort of looks, internalizing, she says, the color green. No. And she's sort of like emerald. The color emerald.
Okay. Emerald. Are they always emerald?
No.
Can they take... You said you don't know the size, so they can be any size?
Yes.
And like for her, she's thinking back to that party a couple years back in which when they met the Zothar person.
Zotha.
Yeah. Yeah. Where it's like, because she described it as like there are things that should be dead, but they linger about, and so it's like maybe he's not whatever he said he was. Maybe that's he's one of those people with a phylactery, and so maybe his phylactery is that big open room thing. How do we attack that? But that's kind of where her mind is at, but she's not verbalizing it other than just asking those questions like, can any size? Okay.
Although you are speaking to a psychic, so
More oracle than psychic, but yeah.
Well, Lana don't know. Lana just this thing seems to know us very well.
She knows the broad brushstrokes, right? Like the very broad
But according to Lana,
brushstrokes.
she knows her very well, or she seems to know them very
Lana
well.
is a broad brushstroke.
Thanks.
Can you tell us anything of the connection between these nightmares and Xen'drik?
She says, there is much I do not know, and there is much I would not tell. However, and I'm just thinking about what she will tell you. 1 second. I think that she would say, because I gotta phrase this in the right way. I think that she would say, that she would say, I see a serpent of many colors, and that seems to have a connection to the dreams, she says. Seek the serpent of many colors. there you may find some answers.
Here or in Xen'drik?
In Xen'drik. And I will add Seek the Serpent of Many Colors into the notes here. Seek the Serpent of Many Colors. There you may find some answers. And that was in relation to the dreams and their connection with Xen'drik. There we go. That's now in that prophecies handout. Any other questions?
Xen'drik's a big place. Is there any way for you to narrow that down a little bit more? Where we need to go in Xen'drik?
Well, let alone if we're headed there, like, it sounds like it's been impossible. Like, people who've tried to go there don't come back. Ships are trashed.
Maybe it's just a really nice spot and they just wanted to stay there. Dawn says unconvincingly.
So to clear that up, people are returning. So the airships, some of them have been recovered, and people have survived. There have been survivors, but the survivors have been mostly silenced by the authorities because they don't want to spread panic, right? So they're trying to keep a lid on it, but they're not doing a very good job of that, and there are rumors starting to spread. But there are survivors, and people are coming back from Xen'drik, and people still, like, relics are still being delivered from time to time. It's not like you can't come back or anything. It's not like they're getting lost. People are dying as well, but it's not like, we're not talking like a Bermuda Triangle instance or anything like that.
Okay. I'll be a little less concerned then.
Mary could fly really close to the water. I like that. Yeah.
How far away is this?
So by sea, it's a month's travel to Xen'drik.
Okay.
Well, you said we'd overcome the perils of getting to Xen'drik, so you must know where we begin.
She says, there is... I see a ship, a seaborne ship in your future, and I see a female captain who is trying to keep up with her competition, she says, almost questioningly. And she's proud, perhaps too proud, of her ship's name.
Female captain. Interesting ship's name.
Yeah.
It could be a boring ship name, that she's just very proud of it.
Right.
Lana has immediate flashbacks to the awesome pirate coat that she got from Captain Scarlet.
Nice.
Well,
You dust that off.
She says, oh, the captain's name. I think it may be a plant. A flower, she says.
Watch, it'll be holly. Lana just mentioned.
Watch, the name of the ship will literally be a flower.
We will sail these seas. My ship's name is in a flower.
What a beautiful flower.
All right. So, any other sort of questions for this oracle? Obviously, it seems pretty clear to you by now that she can't answer everything, and everything's kind of a little vague. You're getting clues here and there, but it's not exactly rocket science.
Bastion will think out loud and he'll say, "The dragon prophecy. Is that written down anywhere?"
There are many writings, she says. To give you a bit of an idea, and she's not saying this, I am. It's like as if the Dead Sea Scrolls were spread over multiple locations, over multiple generations, and found little bit by little bit.
Wow, that is extremely vague. Those poor archaeologists.
Right.
I found the letter the...
Oh, but it's so exciting every time we find a new piece of the puzzle.
And, by the way, anyone reading the Draconic Prophecies, those that can, and there's not many that can, those that can all interpret it differently to each other.
Oh boy.
It's true Dead Sea Scroll shenanigans. No, this word isn't that, it's that. This doesn't mean this, it means this. Yeah, it's... Yeah.
Back in blah blah blah, this actually meant.
Right. So, yeah. So her answer to that in character is there are many writings.
Bastion's gears grind a little, but he accepts the answer.
Okay. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Cool. Anything else for this woman before we...
Why
That's good.
I think Lana would probably finally just ask, like, so what are you? I've never seen anything like you before.
I believe that other races call those like me Gynosphinx. Gynosphinx. Let me paste that into here.
Donka?
Girl Sphinx, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I hope you find comfort in your little piece of home, and I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
I hope you find the answers you seek, she says, for if you do not...
Well, at least we'll have a good time.
The world will change.
What are you gonna do with that relic?
Tell time, I imagine.
She says, I just want a part of where I come from nearby.
Yeah, I'd like to run an insight check.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Yeah, and I can't get less than an 18.
All right, go ahead.
Well, but I mean, because he's silent, can't get. Yeah. Well, just 1 second. Yeah.
Okay.
So I got 19.
Yeah. Okay. She's not telling the entire truth.
Big surprise.
She's telling the truth about everything else, but not about the relic.
That's very cordial answer. But why do you really want it?
Why does a person want any item of significance to their history?
What is? Yes, but what is? But what is?
Oh my god.
You can see that there's slight changes in her demeanor. What was your final question there? Sorry.
Yeah, we were all giggling too much.
Yeah.
But what is your reason? We did procure it for you.
I give him a sideways look like.
She says, and she's being truthful, it keeps my heart warm.
How long have you been here in Carnivore?
As in, how long have I been alive?
Sure, we can start there.
Oh. Around 900 of your years.
Wow. And you've been here in Shan for...
So I break canon on that, just for your knowledge. And she's basically just gotten here in the last couple of weeks. Canon says 996, but I'm changing it for my own for the campaign.
Yeah, no worries. And how long has it been since you've been to Xen'drik?
I mean, I just got back.
And what is the... What is it like there now? If you just got back?
What is it like?
Well, do you all of your prophecies and beautiful banter that you've given us it almost doesn't feel as if it has anything stand.
She says I was rescued. I've been asleep for... And she sort of looks internally and goes, 300 of your years? I barely saw any of it when I awoke, as I was brought here almost immediately after I awoke. But from what I saw, it looked remarkably similar to when I left, but the feeling is off.
Tone, huh? Wonderful.
don't know what that means, she says. And I don't like it. Again, truth.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we all good?
Yes, Silas is good.
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, obviously, if you think of any questions that you wanted to ask in retrospect afterwards, that's fine. I can answer
Cool.
them later. Obviously, if there's like pages and pages of them, I'll just say no. But if it's just like one here or there and you're just like, oh, I just forgot to ask this one question, that's fine, okay? I'm not going to hold us down to what we have here. But for now, we'll leave. You guys have some sort of pathway. Now, before you leave Moorgrave University, though, you're able to sort of talk with a couple of people to sort of maybe get their weigh in on what some of this might mean, and I'm going to show you in your quests and rumors that most of the people that you talk to in Moorgrave University refer you to a contact in Xen'drik named Ulina Pyronim, and say that when you get there, she's someone that you should look up. They say they don't really have any great ideas as far as who this captain might be, but they say, if you just head down to the dock, you'll probably be able to figure it out.
Matt, it came to me right before as we were leaving. Can I linger just slightly with her?
Yeah.
Okay. Silas looks at Flamewind and says, "So you know of the oath?"
I know some.
How far do you see in the future, often Flamewind?
It's unreliable, she says.
Do you know anything of a Black Phoenix?
I do not.
There's not many that do. But there was somebody in my past that spoke of one. And I've yet to find anybody that knows of it. So maybe it's just rambling of a woman that had a vengeance for me, but I just don't know.
I can't say I've ever heard of that, she says. But I've been asleep for 300 years.
Yeah. Well, it was a pleasure.
Likewise.
And that's what he had. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Just something that he had a question on.
All right. So, are we all okay to transition to the dock?
Ready to go.
Now,
Ready.
Silas is not is doing quite well financially now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You all are.
Okay.
All of you have significant amounts of money.
Okay.
Especially compared to, your average citizen. You're not lords or anything like that.
Oh, that's what Rin wants you to think.
Yeah, Ren's doing well for himself. No, yeah. So we're all, we've got enough money.
Yeah.
We're
Um,
good.
so heading down to the dock, let's roll investigation checks. Based on what you've sort of been told so far and looking into the ships and the captains. There is like a harbour master, and you can sort of look at the charter there and see, what's docked at the moment and who the captain is on each of them.
All right. So Bastion will go ahead and pat Lana on the back, and he'll say, "Go get him, girl," as he casts guidance on her.
Guidance, nice.
What? Guidance. What does guidance do again? Just a D4 to stuff?
Does guidance stack?
I'll allow it.
All right, Donald will stack it on Lana too.
All right, Lana, you've got 2d4.
One ability check of its choice. It can... So,
So just click on the skill and then just roll 2d4 and we'll add them together because math. We're good at math.
a skill. Let's try and pull up her character sheet real quick. Just to, and this is for looking for. Let's see. Not that she really needs help, but I think persuasion might do it in the sense of like talking to someone along the docks, like at least, and being able to. I don't know. That one. Erg does perception and investigation. Well, her investigation at least has a +1. So I guess we'll do investigation.
All right.
Here we go. Do the initial roll.
Oh, and then you're adding 2d4 to that.
So where's my D? Come on.
Wow.
Erg.
So that's a
There we
d20.
go.
2 D20s.
All right. So you're adding 4. So that's 22. All said. All right. Well, you and
She starts climbing up.
Felice will both come to a realization in your own ways, either looking at the books or walking up and down the dock, that the boat that you're looking for has this name. And the captain is named Hyacinth.
Isn't that bad luck to name a ship after yourself?
Narrows her eyes and look upstairs and go, well, pretty sure that's the one we're going for. And yeah, I would be like, okay, guys, how crazy is it for us to go on there and just be like, hi, we were sent to you for help. That sounds kind of crazy, right?
That's a little, yeah, I'd say that's a little, maybe not crazy, but just, untoward.
Okay,
But it's very Lana.
thanks. Goodness. I suppose we can.
We could just introduce ourselves and ask if there's passage.
And up the gangplank she goes. Hello.
All right. I will reveal to you the character sheet here.
I think Felice kind of hurries after her, a little afraid of, a little concerned at this point about how she might approach this person. And
Especially Lana, who's so suave and street smart, is actually leading a little bit into this. We're gonna go on a mission.
All right. So With her striking auburn hair and matching sash, Hyacinth immediately projects confidence. She seems very attached to her ship, and it does seem on second impressions that she might be trying a tad too hard to keep up with appearances.
Righto. So, I imagine going up the gangplank, getting to the top. As soon as she sees anyone, maybe almost mockingly, but not trying to be mocking, just, ahoy! Hello there!
Hello, darling!
Oh, snaps. I like her already. We are, me and my friends, posse people, are looking for passage north. Are you happen by chance be taking on passengers?
Oh, you've come to the right place.
Oh, good. Good. Good.
Welcome on board my fine vessel.
Thank you, Reto. My name's Lana May, by the way. And yours? She'll, extend a hand to shake.
My name is Hyacinth.
Who's closest to Lana right now?
Me.
She just kind of casually leaned back and go, that's a flower, right?
Hi, I'm
I don't know how many hyacinths are around the town, but it sounds like a fancy name and probably one that Lana would not really associate with fauna. Or flora, my bad. It's just kind of a... That sounds like a flower. That's a flower, right? I think I've heard of it.
Shh, kitty.
Yeah, and then, let's see. Lana, it's a pleasure to meet you, and here are my friends, Felice, Bastion, Don, and Silas. So you say the right place. Are you headed north by chance?
She says, north?
Yeah.
Don will poke Lana south.
Trying to go to... Lana, no, we don't want to go north. Are you... You're headed to Xen'drik, right?
She says, oh, but I can.
Great, because north would be bad.
North would be inland, honey.
Oh, bugger. Sorry, I'm looking at the map now, just to be like, why did I even get that thought? Let's move on.
How long have you been in port?
She says, oh, we just got in this morning.
Oh, lovely. You're not heading out immediately then.
Oh, but we could. For the right fee.
When were you... That's a very lovely offer. When were you intending to depart?
As per most of the ships available for rent, we go whenever we're paid to go.
Okay.
It would suit us to set sail in the morning, if you have the coin.
Lana.
Hold on 1 minute. 1 minute. Don's gonna pull Lana back a little bit and say, Lana, Silas is funding this, right?
Lana, shrug. If he wants, I figured we all would probably pitch in something. I'm going to get, if this is what's going to help my children, then I don't really care. I know I have enough, so if you're worried about where the money's coming from, don't worry about it.
I was just thinking it'd speed up the negotiations if he's just already said he's going to pay for all of it.
Well, let me put this out there. It's 3,000 gold all up. So that would cover all of you for the 30 days of travel.
Lana has a third of that. Wait, is that 3,000 each or just?
No, all up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Lana's like, I have a third of that, and so.
Yeah, Silas would just pony up.
Yeah.
But Lana would also be like, leaving in the morning might be the soonest. I have a few things I just gotta make sure are taken care of. Especially for such a substantial journey.
Oh yes,
Well,
I would pack a few changes of clothes and probably some winter clothing if I were you. I know it's spring, but it's hell out there.
And that's something Lana would have to also prepare for. Then I don't have heavy clothes noted in my inventory, so she would need to certainly pick up some stuff.
I have another idea about what. Well, I have something else that you might be interested in getting. Yes. We've experienced, let's say, strange conditions. And there's enchanted boots. I would suggest enchanted boots.
Enchanted boots, like for walking up walls or flying or.
It's the Kittengam enchantment, darling.
Kittengam. That sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. She'd look at Silas and be like, Kittengam?
Yes, it will. Shall we say, keep your feet on the deck.
Like, just kind of nods and again, kind of giving a few side eyes to people, just like, is anyone following this? Like, okay.
And where would we find such boots?
She says, oh, there's this rascal in the market that seems to be making a killing off these.
Well, it just kind of narrows her eyes. I like my spelling better. Yeah, she just kind of narrows her eyes and like, has she heard of this peddler by chance, like, or seen someone selling boots?
His name is Flint.
Wait, that's a name we should know, right?
Yeah, a little.
Hang on, no, this is Mary speaking. Mary is speaking right now, and I'm like quickly trying to go back, like former NPCs.
Flint Goldenstein.
Oh my gosh. Vesuvius.
Flint goes all the way back to Chance days. Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's with Hey You. I think Hey You was the one bonded. That's why I recognize the name pretty good. Right.
He's a dwarven merchant that we helped out.
Yeah, we had to go find him. All right, cool.
Well,
I think Lana would be familiar with him, especially if he's around the bazaar or something.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna assume that you've at least heard of him. Yeah.
Oh, Flint.
Yes, he's a bit of a scallywag.
Does he have a reputable
I mean, enough, yeah.
This is Lana trying to ponder right now. Like, I can roll like an intelligence wisdom check or whatever to discern if like what she knows of him.
Sure. You can make a
Like,
check
what's
of
the
some
word?
description.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, intelligence check. Come on. Flat core stat. She's just kind of the base idea of, is this someone?
Oh, that's
that-
100. There we go. Oh, well, that's a
Whoa.
critical success.
So that works for me.
Okay. Yeah. So, Flint is a reputable businessman. However, he is trying to make up for a rather large deficit in his earnings due to a particular shipment that he bought in of illegal statuettes with necromantic energy that he had no idea of. Corey's just chuckling in the background.
Sorry. Now I remember this.
Yeah, so he's still trying to regain his his earnings from that.
Righto. So, Lana, I guess, would finish up with highest on the. Sorry, I'm bad with names. But would just say, righto. So, do you need to be paid up now or when we?
Oh, in the morning is fine, darling.
Okay. Right though, on that note, I have a lot of things to do, she says to her group. Like, I have a handful of things that need to get done, and if you want to follow along, you're welcome to, but I gotta go take care of some stuff.
Silas looks at Lana, at Lana after, at that moment and goes, Flint, like the guy with the idols that we found years ago. Right?
Yes, yep, very one.
He'll deal with us.
Yeah, he will.
I think I remember scaring him quite well back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm like, isn't this how Don found his mate?
Probably. I don't remember fully, but
not really. They were just events were fairly near each other.
Yeah, the events were close. Yeah.
We were gonna go out with Flint's caravan. We uncovered a bunch of illicit goods, so we picked a different one after that.
Right,
I think
right.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, 5 years later, he's still trying to recover from that incident.
That sucks for him.
But he seems to be making some headway with selling these boots.
Well, I guess we can all go and see him together. But yeah, I got.
So Felice is giving you a very quizzical look, like, really, just like that? And I turn to the captain. Could we maybe have a tour? Can you tell us a little bit about your ship and what we can expect?
Oh, of course, darling. Yes, come and have a tour.
And I
was like, yeah, tour. I got time crunch.
Yeah, well, I mean, Felice kind of looks at you like, believe me, I have plenty to do before I can go anywhere too, but...
Yeah, and
I wanna know what
she says, well, we're here, darling.
Okay.
Why don't we have a nice cup of tea?
Well, I'd settle for a tour. I appreciate the offer of hospitality, but I will have quite a few things to wrap up here if we're going to leave in the morning.
Yeah, I suppose, well, what are accommodations? Where would we be staying up on the ship? Like, where would our sleeping quarters be?
Right, so there is, like, there's, as with many ships that you come across, there's, like, 3 levels. There's like the top deck that has the captain's quarters up there as well. On the second level, you have bedding and I guess roomage, and in the final bottom level, you've got the storage of all the stores with all of the cheeses and meats and things like that for the voyage, and extra cannonballs and things.
As they're getting this tour, is there anything that seems off or like just seems really bizarre?
Everything is very shiny, as if a lot of time was spent making sure it was shiny.
Do we see crew?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Now, shiny to cover things up.
No, shiny to make them seem better quality than they are.
Okay. She just has pride in her ship.
Yes, but really, really anal pride.
So it's like when somebody takes a hatchback and makes it thinks they're making it into a race car.
Right. Yeah, she's definitely pimping her ride here a little. So I've also put ship's crew there in the contacts, but you know they're basically just their usual mix of scallywag and hardened sailor and everything in between.
All right.
They seem to be, you know, hard at work polishing everything.
Does Silas get anything off of her? Anything weird? She seemed like she's withholding anything very much from us.
She's putting on airs, if that's what you mean. You don't think that... So, okay, so you've seen a few of the ships, and certainly I think you were part of the group that went on board the Flying Cloud, the airship, right? You were part of that. So you saw the state that was in, which was absolutely gorgeous and lavish, right? She's trying really hard to get to that level, but she's not there. Call it keeping up with the Joneses. She's not quite there, but all of these sailors look very capable of their jobs, and it's just that she's trying to seem cleaner and more upmarket than perhaps she actually is.
What is she carrying in her hold?
Basically stores. Just stores. Nothing... Yeah, so cannonballs, black powder, meats.
It doesn't seem like there's anything she doesn't want.
Let me rephrase that. Is there room in here for trade goods?
Yeah.
And there is no trade goods.
You're pretty sure that she's already, like, delivered them? So,
All right.
No, there's no trade goods here right now.
So Bastion will bring up the price of hiring an entire ship to leave immediately.
Right.
Versus waiting, say, a couple weeks for her to get the hold full of other investors, so that we don't have to pay for the entire cost of her crew, her ship, and everything.
Right. Let me roll a die here. Actually, let me do it on the program since we've got it rolling. Oh, darling, it will only take 2 days to get us refreshed. But if you... Yes, you are correct. So the price. So you would just. So if you were to hire her now, to leave or anywhere in the next 2 days before she got fully stocked, she would just put a premium over the 3,000, which would be a tenth. If we were to leave after those 2 days when she's fully stocked, it'll just be the 3,000.
And maybe I don't understand D&D prices that well, but charging 3,000 for passage seems steep, like really steep.
Sure. So I mean, I've based that on the source books for Xen'drik and Shan, and it's 100 gold a day, and it's 30 days.
Mhm.
So
Should be happy she's not charging us more for the danger since all the ships have been getting sunk and destroyed by the
right,
storms.
and you guys haven't tried to negotiate with her yet either. There's been
I'm
no
not going to
negotiation.
tell that to her.
Right, and I was wondering about that. Does that seem, I mean, Felice has been on some expeditions. Whether or not she's been on the sea is questionable, but, you know, does that seem reasonable to...
That's the price of ships going to Xen'drik. Give or take, 10%. Anything under this price will be completely unreliable. Like, when you go to buy a house and there's holes in the floor, that sort of thing. So this is a competitive price. It's just the way this, section of Eberron is written. I've gone off actual books to quote that, but you guys can negotiate it if you like. It seems fair in comparison to what other ship captains are charging, but
Right.
you think maybe you could get it down a little? It's possible.
All right. It's just, got ship experience. I'm figuring these things out.
Yeah. No, fair questions. Do we want to try and negotiate it down?
I think I don't think Felice would try. She would, after seeing a tour and feeling like the ship's in good shape and everything, that was reasonable. And
mechanically the ship is very sound. What Silas is picking up and what probably anyone else that takes a few minutes will pick up will be that she's just trying hard to look more upmarket than she is. So,
sure.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
And then on that note, I do have the sailor background and safe passage.
Okay.
So Ashton will...
Yeah, let me bring that up here again. I haven't... it's safe passage. That's cool. I didn't consider that.
You need to. You can secure free passage on a sailing ship for yourself and your adventuring companions. However, that might break the adventure. So...
Okay. When you need to, you can...
Bastion will look around and he'll speak to the other captain, see if he has any contacts in the port, compare prices, and come back with his findings the next day.
Yeah. So it says you can't be certain of a schedule or route that will meet your every need. Will determine how long it takes to get where you need to go. In return for your free passage, you and your companions are expected to assist the crew during the voyage. Right, so if you work, then I will say yes, with one caveat, because she's not going to work for absolute free. But I will honor your feature that you have, which is that ship's passage feature. And what she will say is, you're calling in this favor, that's fine. I reserve the right to call the favor back in the future.
All right. That's a powerful favor you're asking for.
She's gonna have you carry her on your shoulders into the inlands later on.
Wear a little horse hat.
So I guess a favor for a favor is my deal. So I'm saying you don't have to spend 3,000 of your gold, but it's a favor that she'll potentially call in sometime later in the campaign.
All right. So again, Bastion asked around, figured out his contacts, talked to some friends of friends, got some pressure put on her, and he gets this proposal, and he'll talk to Lana the next day about it.
All right, awesome. Lana, what are your thoughts? Lana, who knows the GM very well, and is muted. Has she walked away?
Sorry,
Oh, there you
I
go.
muted. No, Lana hearing like Bastion make that recommendation is just like, yeah, yes, please ask around. That would be very useful. Thank you, Bastion. And that will also give me time to get things squared away, and yeah, and so she's on board with Bastion doing that, and would be happy, and she'd actually extend the offer to the group of like, we can all meet for breakfast at my place if you'd like.
Cool. Well, how I would like to do this is just make a segue. You can get all your business done. I'll ask a coverall question of you each. I'll just go around the table, or the virtual table, and just make sure that that you've got everything that you need. And then if we do, we'll segue to getting on board the ship. So Lana, is there anything, or Mary, should I say, is there anything that you need from me, or any questions you have, or
No, but this is kind of the idea I have for Lana, the things that she needs to get squared away, where she will talk to her troop to be like, hey, by the way, swing by, or like get one of them to like volunteer to check on the bees and whatnot. And I think even the brewery is good to go in their absence, but if there's any maintenance that needs to be handled, she'd make sure someone was watching over that, and that's really about it. And then just kind of there was because she's gonna be gone for a month, I don't know if Rin would have made mention to her about like how long he anticipated being gone with the kids visiting family. And so just in case he came back while she was gone and they don't really have a way of communicating, she would certainly tell Fayella, her troop will know, and she will leave a written message on their nightstand just for when he gets back, before she has that
yeah.
communication.
As a DM, I can tell you that he's gone the entire time that we are.
Cool.
Yeah.
Laura doesn't know that though.
I mean, she knows that the
I have an idea.
just the travel alone's gonna probably take a lot of that. I mean, he's going all the way to his halfling homeland, so it's quite some distance. Many thousands of miles.
Have fun.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's, I believe, it.
Cool.
And then other than that, like getting the winter clothes and
Yeah.
potentially the
I'm
shoes.
just, you can just assume that you know enough people and have enough friends and contacts to get all of that. I'm not gonna penalize you. Just assume that you've got it. Dawn, anything from you?
Did we resolve the boot situation with Flint?
Right, so being that you guys know Flint, he's just willing for you to take them as long as you take them with his trademark stamp on their on the side of them.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
free
Dawn-
advertising for him, basically.
I don't think Don would
What?
care about that one way or the other too much. He'll want to be very sure for himself that they actually work as they're supposed to, but that's about it.
Right, so they just have an enchantment on them that's effectively like magnetism, but to the ship's deck rather than to metal.
That's pretty cool.
How would
That's
that work if you already have boots that are magical?
You wouldn't be able to wear both at one time.
unless you wanted it really, really badly, and then only one of them would probably work.
So it's kind of up to you. So what I can tell you is that from the hints that you were getting from what Hyacinth was saying, and mixing that together with the prophecies and that, you have a feeling that gravity, as much as your character understands gravity, is going to be an issue if you hit a storm. So it's only going to come into play if you hit a storm. So if you hit a storm, swap your boots out.
Cool. Don's gonna do a little bit of shopping for equipment. I believe there's mention of cold weather clothes and things like that.
Right.
He'll get a full range of just wearables, particularly some waterproofing for his backpack, maybe just a full-on oil slick
Yeah.
poncho
Yeah.
thing.
Perfect.
And yeah, exactly that sort of thing. At some point, it'd be interesting to hear what that logo looks like.
I'll have to make that up at some point. I don't have it.
It's not too important. Thought it might be funny.
I can
But yeah.
imagine it being a dwarf's beard. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and then after he gets that done, just so you know what he's planning to do, he'll head back to his place, get in a fight with Demaya, and then show up in the next morning, look like he's been mugged.
Okay. Silas, anything from you?
Yeah, I mean, he'd just do the same. Get any provisions that are necessary, and then he would have to find a place to stay for the night.
Oh, well, yeah, you know enough people. You can either stay in the church or, anywhere.
No,
It's pretty easy.
yeah, nothing in particular, sir.
Alright, Felice?
So, like a lot of folks, she is going to need some provisions, some winter clothes, and I imagine that she would want to talk to some of her professors about any additional, anything else that they need while she's there, or maybe even getting some sort of permission to leave.
Right. Well,
and,
yeah, they don't have anything specific, but they do say, any relics, ancient relics that you bring back, they will pay you handsomely for. But there's no, side quest of a specific one. They do say, do be sure to record all your findings. If you sort of come back empty-handed, you have a feeling they'll be pretty disappointed as far
Right.
as writing down what you've come across. So, you know, let's say this. They're going to give you, like, enchanted vellum that won't degenerate in the weather.
Okay, that's awesome. And I think the last thing for her would be just like letting her roommate know, I'm going on another expedition. I'll not gonna see you for a while. Feel free to move somebody else in while I'm gone.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I assume that this has happened a number of times and your roommate's fairly familiar with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure her roommate was just like, I want to again. You know, it's that time of year or whatever.
Right. Cool. Very good. And Bastian, anything from you?
And that's it for me.
Yeah. Bastian, you're muted. There you go.
Oh, I didn't realize you said my name. My bad.
I probably cut out.
So, Bastion would see about getting waterproofed. Salt water does do a terrible number on metal, even if it's moving. And after that, he will approach his trade acquaintance, Gerard, and try to convince him to pick up shop and move over to Xen'drik.
All
On the
right.
ship with them.
Then roll me a persuasion check, I suppose. This is someone that you know.
Yes, this is one of my contacts.
Okay. Very good.
I'm going to cast guidance on myself before I talk to him.
Sure. And let's say that guidance counts for double because so it'll be double whatever you roll because of your knowledge, your familiarity with him. All right.
So I might end up insulting him terribly.
No, you don't insult him. I mean, he says, thanks for the tip. And he does mean it. Like, he's, like, genuinely thankful. He's like, I just have my hands full where I am right now. I'll consider that, though, maybe in the coming months, you know, once I'm done here. I think that could be a good opportunity for me. So he's genuinely, you know, he genuinely thanks you for the offer, but he can't take it up right now.
I'm sure you'll be able to acquire your own passage. I'll keep an eye out for you while I'm down there.
All right. Very good. And yeah, I'll potentially write him in later on as we go. Anything else then from you? No, that's okay. I like following up leads on people.
I don't think Bastion has sleeping quarters, wanders the streets at night.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, everything's fairly samey. So.
It's good that no vigilante work needs to be done.
Right.
Now it's Bastion's turn.
Excellent.
Who are you? What are you? Oh, you're drunk. Let me help you home.
Okay.
Oh, how dare you be out here after dark? I'll escort you back to your parents.
Nice. Sweet. So that will lead us to hopping on board the ship. You can just assume that you have it. I'm not gonna charge you money for waterproofing things.
Also, Donald declined the free passage. He'll just pay out the gold for his slot.
Okay. Sure. They'll take it. They'll take your gold. Not gonna decline that. with thank you, with thanks. So, in further conversations with Hyacinth, Dawn will get a bonus. It's not going to be advantage. Let's just say it'll be guidance, and you can then cast guidance on top of guidance since this is a free guidance. So free guidance when interacting with Hyacinth and her crew for that.
Cool.
All right. Well, sort of coming up to the 3.5 hour mark. I could roll. So what I've done is basically I've got a random table for events on the sea, but I'm like, well, it's 3.5 hours. It might be a good time to finish up. How are other people thinking?
This is a good point.
Yeah, it means that next time we can sort of set off and start fresh on the sea, if we're all okay with that. And if anyone has any extra questions, we can tackle those off camera and what's not. But hopefully it's been a fun session. It's always takes the most time, I reckon, doing that first session after a break, or the first session that you're playing in something to get your character in and sort things out and figure things out. I've actually enjoyed your characters and seeing how you've reacted to things, and I feel like you've engaged really well, so I really appreciate that, and hopefully you guys have had fun, and we'll be back in 2 weeks to continue on our campaign. So I'm just gonna stop the recording here, and we can sit and chat if you guys want, or you're free to go. Anyone that was watching, thanks for watching, and catch you next time.